Hi, I'm Seamless, and today is Friday, which means it's time for a new How to Bass. So, you may have seen something like this before. In one of my earlier How to Basses, I talked about resynthesizing FM modulation, what is it, which is what this is. Except that the key difference between that and this is that I'm resampling a very short amount of FM modulation. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it makes the end result a lot clearer in the resampling. And you can tell by looking at the actual image result here. You can see these lines, and these are basically samples. And what this does is that it's resampling the sample, like a portion of the audio, and then these poles are additive harmonic data. So like when the time knob passes over here, we can see that this is the data that it gets up, and then it morphs between the one before and the one after it. And something else I've done similar to this is when I did the wavetable-ish thing with Harmor, where when you add in a sample, instead of dropping it in, you hold Shift and drop it in, and then it drops in as one of these samples at a time. And you can add in a whole bunch of different things, single cycles or not. If it's not a single cycle, it'll figure out what like the average harmonic data is, and then it'll apply that as the whole sample. So that's a lot of fun, and it's cool. And one of the things I realized is that if I selectively chopped up single cycles from FM modulation, I could make a much smoother transition than if I did, say, a whole beat or a whole bar, which is what I used to do. And so the way I captured this is pretty much the normal way that I record things, only with a very, very small amount of time. So what I've done here is I set up a normal FM bass sort of thing, which is one oscillator out, and then the second operator modulating the first operator, and then going into the oscillator tab, I've turned on an additional high harmonic at 5 octaves, which is what this guy here is. Now, I explained why this happens and why this works in How to Bass 6, and then I've also explained how to do it with FM8 and How to Bass 50. But the short answer is that I set up the mod here to the modulation input of operator 1 to be hooked up to the modifier X, like so. And this and then this is being automated over here very shortly. See, this is actually, that's 1 bar, and that's how much I'm doing. Now, I made a loop here, and this is good because what happens is if I go into the mixer insert that it's doing, and go to Edison, hit record, and as long as I have on play on, it will create a marker every time the loop jumps. That's what the song jump marker is. And then I can double click on the song jump marker, select everything before and after it, like so. And now I have one whole instance of modulation from that. And you can look at the spectrum here. You can kind of see that it is much smoother than if I just let it go for like a whole bar. And then I click and drag, drop that into, click and drag this button here. This is the drag option. And I can drop it to Harmor, and then it will resynthesize it like so. And then, all right, so now that I've done that, I'm going to do this from a default just so that we can see what's happening. The core point of this How to Bass was just the idea that you should resynthesize really short amounts of modulation. That's the key here, and that was something new. This is actually something I determined last week on last week's stream while we were doing the electro track, and I said I should have to do a How to Bass on it, and I did. So you see this very similar sounding kind of deal here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the speed off. I'm going to turn smooth off. You can see it's still trying to jump around. It's being weird, and that's because sharpness is on. If I turn that off, it's completely smooth. Now I'm also going to take the scale and bring that all the way down. And now it's adhering to whatever note I'm playing. And you can turn on harmonic protection to ensure the low tones, the fundamental tones, are stable the whole time. would recommend that you map this to mod X. And then this is actually double. This is one and then another. So then map it like so. And then a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom. Key gets kind of quiet at the end there. And I'll explain why in a second. So as far as I can tell, the way that Harmor resynthesizes stuff is that it analyzes samples of the data and then creates these poles. It's these black lines are. These poles are like little samples of harmonic data. Now if I play it, you can see like right here, the white line is where I am right now. The white line you can see here very clearly shows that that's the data it's reading there. And so like this pole, and this pole are two different poles. But what it's doing is that in between the poles, it's basically crossfading between them. That's what's happening. Additive crossfade between two different sets of harmonic data. And the reason why at the end it's off like that is because the very last piece of harmonic data is, nothing. It's all off. So it's fading from here, which is all on, to all off. Actually, no, I lied. It's fading to the beginning. It's fading to the first set of harmonic data, which is this soundish thing right here. Yeah. So that's pretty straightforward. I really just wanted to introduce the idea of short modulation, not just with FM. You can do this with massive stuff. If you have a particular kind of modulation to massive that you like, but you want to screw with it with Harmor, you can record extremely small points of modulation, and then it will get basically the additive gist of the modulation of whatever you recorded from A to B. That's what I did, A to B, nothing to full. So, if you have any questions about this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.